This is a lectern. It was introduced in the Village and Pillage update on Java and Bedrock edition. And, it's a pretty cool block. You can get books, you can put the book on the lectern, and then anyone who comes past is just able to click on the lectern and read the book. But they may be more useful than you realise. Let's get into it. Let's start with the very basics of the lectern. So, if I place the lectern down here, then it will give a comparator output depending on the page number it's on. And there's a formula to work out what signal strength you're going to get from what page you are on in the book. And it's different in Java Edition to what it is in Bedrock, because in Bedrock Edition, you show 2 pages on the screen at once, and in Java you only show 1 page. The formula is on screen now. For signal strength S, you take the floor function of 1 plus 14 times p prime minus 1 divided by m prime minus 1, where m prime is half of the maximum page number rounded down, and p prime is half the current highest page number containing data displayed on the book interface, rounded down. That sounds really complicated, but as you can see, I've got 9 pages here. So if I'm on 9 out of 9, then it's obviously going to be a signal strength of 15. Let's just make this a little bit nicer. There we go. But if I'm on 7 out of 9, for example, then it will... is that emitting... Oh, that's emitting... there we go, so 10, and then 5, and then 1. In my case, obviously it's going to be different to you, because you're going to have a different number of pages and whatnot, blah blah blah. But use that formula. It's going on the wiki page as well, which I'll link in the description below, so you can check that out. Now, this isn't particularly useful actually in redstone, because we have much better ways of detecting signal strength, such as furnaces, chests, barrels, composters, cauldrons. They're all a lot better than a lectern in terms of signal strength. But what really interests us is a mechanic that involves hard powering the block underneath it. Hard powering is when you can take a dust output from the side of the block like this. So currently this repeater is hard powering this block, so you can take a dust output, but if we have a dust input, then it's soft powering, because it's not going to give a dust output on the other side. So let's just demonstrate this quickly. If I get dust like this, let's just put sticky piston there, just the detection for what's happening. If I try and get, yes, you can see the sticky piston screen. When I turn the page, it's going to activate the sticky piston very briefly. And this is great, but the only problem is it's a temporary pulse. So if you can't really use this in redstone circuitry, because you have to be constantly flicking the page to get a constant pulse. But what if I told you can? It is possible, using a bug that may well be patched in the near future. But what you need to do is something like this, where you've got a sticky piston facing upwards in the lectern, because lecterns are movable and retractable by pistons, and we've got dust like this. So every time I turn the page, the sticky piston is going to quickly move the lectern up and back down again. Now, all you need to do to get this to constantly power, or constantly hard power itself and the block underneath it, is to just flick the pages. And I got really... no, I didn't get lucky that time. That's a shame. There we go. So as you can see, it's pretty much doing it as a redstone block would now. So if I demonstrate this with a redstone block, for example, exactly the same, which indicates that this lectern is now being constantly powered, and it is. this lectern is constantly powering everything around it. It can be a real pain to try and get a lectern in this state though, but once you do, you have not just the immediate blocks around it, but because it's hard powering the block underneath it, you can also take a dust output like this, you've got all of this. It's madness, and you've got this block obviously underneath as well. Look how much area you have. It's so much more than a redstone block. And this is really useful for tight-knit redstone circuit. This is of course a bug, so you do run the constant danger of it being patched, but for as long as it's actually a feature in the game, it's going to be safely to use because it's relog proof. That's always nice. Let's move on to some really oddly specific cases now. So if you have, well, most of you know by now, if you have two lines of dust like this, and you want to activate them independently, then you can just cut off their signal with a block like this, otherwise they both power each other. Like so. But what if, and we're just asking the question here, what if you have something like a piston here that you don't want to activate? Well, today's your lucky day, I guess, because normally if you'd activate this, you see it'll point into this block, which would power this sticky piston. If you didn't want that, you can just replace it with a lectern. As you can see, this dust is redirecting, and it looks like each of them will power. They'll power each other when you activate one, but it actually doesn't. Lectern cuts off the signal, and it means that it doesn't power the sticky piston. Unfortunately, this only works on the top line. On the bottom line, it does activate the sticky piston because of some weird ambiguity bugs that remind me a lot of this, which I personally love just playing around with because it's really bizarre looking how this dust looks like it's pointing at a sticky piston, but it's only actually doing that visually. It's actually going straight forward. And the piston on the side is just activating because it detects when dust is next to it and powered. So this could theoretically be useful. I mean, I don't know. It's used in Origin's fastest 3x3. I'll put an image on screen now of the setup that's used in Origin's fastest 3x3. It's really, really smart actually, and it's where I learned this mechanic. Let's go back to the fact that lecterns are transparent. So if you want to activate each of these lines separately, now this looks really bizarre, but I'll get onto this in a moment because you might want to power an observer from a repeater, for example. And you can activate this one, you can activate this line, and you can activate this line, all independently without them intercanoodling, which is really funny. I'm not sure how useful this is going to be because, again, really oddly specific, but you know, it may be useful for some people, potentially. I don't know. It's set up like this. I don't know. I'm literally just spamming spamming circuitry next to each other to show you what the potential of lecterns. But they are actually a lot more useful than you realise, and that's what this new series is going to be all about, showing you the useful applications to sort of forgotten redstone components. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.